Hey, what's up, everybody? Thomas here. So, this episode is a little different than what you're probably used to. This one came straight from an Instagram live conversation I did with Will Craig. Funny enough, no relation. He is a mental health advocate and author, and someone who's been through some serious stuff, multiple brain surgeries, the loss of a partner, the kind of battles that force you to get real about who you are and what actually matters. We sat down live, no script, no do overs, just two people talking about acceptance. And I mean real acceptance, not the toxic positivity kind where you pretend everything's fine. I'm talking about accepting the things you absolutely cannot control, and then putting all your energy into the things you can. If you've been listening to this podcast for a while, you know that's kind of been on my mind a lot. And Will, he's been living that philosophy, from what I gather, most of his life. So the format in the audio is a little raw because it came from an Instagram live, but this conversation was too fun and full of genuine, helpful insight not to share. And honestly, this format is way easier for me to pull off right now. It's less setup, there's less time away from home, which means I can do a lot more of this kind of content. So if this works for you, please let me know, because I would love to do a lot more of these. All right, well, with that being said, aloha and enjoy this one. There he is. What's up, man?
What's going on, dude?
Not too much. I appreciate you joining. Travis, what's up? Let me say. All right, we're getting some comments in. What's up, Kale? Yeah, man. Well, thank you so much for joining today. Longtime fan of your content. Yeah, you are an incredible speaker, podcaster. You've written a book as an author, and I genuinely just relate to a lot of your content as a man, as a husband, as somebody who also labels himself a mental health advocate. So, Will, thanks so much for being here.
Dude, thank you so much. I mean, whenever I hear stuff like that, I always get a little bit like, oh God, me? Really? People listen to what I have to say? But no, I
Yeah.
appreciate you. And really, the feeling is mutual. I mean, just like seeing what you've built. I mean, first off, what you've had to overcome, what you've had to accomplish in your life to get where you are. I mean, it's incredible. So I nothing but admiration for. I mean, how many people get to walk away from what you have?
Yeah, I don't think it's very high. Like, like
It's not a high success rate, I
the
would
odds are
imagine.
not, yeah. The odds are stacked against you on that one, but you too, though. I mean, I saw the brain surgeries and man, yeah. So let's dive into it because yeah, I saw the six brain surgeries and stuff. Is that where you kind of first got your first taste into like I want to learn more about mental health, or where did that like pop up for you?
Ooh, okay. That's a really good way to start it off. Um,
Yeah.
the short answer is probably yes, but I didn't realize it at the time.
Right.
So the long answer of that is um, when I was in my mid 20s, I went through a bit of a bout of depression and suicidal ideation, and that was due to a lot of issues that I have with my worthiness of the people around me, of who I am as a person, which in a lot of ways stems from the medical conditions that I've had and situations that I've gone through. But I
Mhm.
was not aware enough to realize what was going on. And I'm a classic Midwestern male. You bottle it up, you don't really deal with it. It's just we're not
Oh yeah.
built for that, you know? And
Yeah, I'm
so
not from the Midwest, but I know that all too well.
sure, yeah. I mean, so it took me going through. I was dating a woman for about a year and she died unexpectedly. And I'm the one who was there. I'm the one who like found her and had to get talk to the police and all this stuff. And so in that experience is what made me forced me to actually go to therapy and like
Mm,
work on myself and work on these things. And through that, I realized, oh, there's a lot of like systemic stuff that's been going on with me for years, and now it's just come to a massive crashing point because of this catalyst event. So
right.
I so I would argue, like to answer your question, technically her Allison's passing was when I had to really dive into it and like take it seriously. But I would
Hmm.
argue that it's the I have a medical condition called hydrocephalus,
Okay.
and to explain it simply to people, you have your brain, you have your skull. In the middle, you have cerebral spinal fluid. Your body brings it in, drains it out naturally. Mine
Mhm.
brings it in, but none drains out. So as a result of
Uh,
that, I've got a mechanical device that drains it out for me. And
wow.
when that breaks, they estimate that I have about 8 hours.
Oh
And
man,
that's where
that's
the
scary.
six surgeries are from. It's the initial diagnosis at 2 months old, put a shunt in, and then it's broken 5 other times.
Oh man. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yeah.
It
So I'm gonna have more, by the way. It's just a matter of when, not if.
Oh man. Well, yeah, I very much you're so strong for all you've had to overcome and deal with and it's not easy, right? I mean, I think also as guys, and especially if you see yourself as like, all right, I want to be a classic guy, I want to play sports, I want to be tough, I want to be strong. And then all of a sudden this
Mm-hmm.
medical thing hits you, and it sounds like you've been dealing with it most of your life, but for me, I grew up very much the same way. And it's like, not that my dad's not open to it. We just didn't talk about it.
Sure.
He was very much just like, work hard, do your job. He was a great athlete growing up. And so I wanted to be a great athlete, but we didn't talk about our feelings. We didn't talk about how to show emotions other than anger, which is pretty much just on the field or on the court, where it was like the only place where I felt like I was allowed to show emotions. But then I go from this person who's very physically active, very physically capable, independent, to boom, plane crash, and now I can't do anything for myself, right? Like I can't walk, I can't talk, I can't breathe, I can't even feed myself, and it just like broke my brain, right? And all of these ways that I used to think and cope, they just didn't work in the hospital anymore.
Sure.
And I just didn't know what to do. I was falling apart. And then, yes, I was kind of mandatorily asked to go to therapy. But I think the moment where I really started to realize, like, I've always kind of been a fan of social science, but I think the moment where I realized, like, oh, mental health is also cool, fascinating, and helpful was when my therapist was like just suggesting different experiments or thought experiments. Was like, hey, did you ever, try this exercise? Try rather than just feeling like I'm sad or I'm angry, try like naming that feeling. Try to say like, I have this feeling. It's now, give it a name, give it a shape, give it a weight. And these experiments kind of was like, oh wait, cool. Like mental health and therapy aren't like these things that we see in the movies, or it's not like the scary thing, or people are just like going through this exam. There's like practical things here. And that's when I was like, I gotta adopt that more in my life. So for you, was there a certain thing that therapy brought up or whatever where you're like, man, this is so cool and helpful?
Yeah, I mean, I think for me, the part that really, when first I kind of opened the can of worms, like when I first sat down in therapy, I was coming from, a place of like mental trauma, and I'm sure you can relate in that way. Like, of like you said, it was kind of mandatory for you, and I assume that's
Yeah.
post crash. It's like, hey, post plane crash, we gotta go. We gotta sit down with somebody because like, there's no way you're okay.
Right, right. But in the hospital, like they were trying to give me all these meds, and I was like, no, I don't want it. I don't want it. And my family was like, you have to take it. You don't seem
There's
like
not a
yourself.
choice in this matter. Yeah, there's not.
Yeah,
I mean, there is
exactly.
always, but like, it's highly encouraged.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, yeah.
So it's funny, we brought up the whole, and I said it kind of tongue in cheek, but like the whole Midwesterns, and I'm sure I think it's guys. We're not geared towards it. We're talking about our feelings, but what's interesting for my journey in that was that like what really pushed me to go to therapy, because I had tried therapy at various points in my life, and I just wasn't
Mm,
like, after that bout of depression, I like went one, and I just wasn't in the right headspace, because I'm such a believer that you have to want to get better.
Right. Yeah.
I think it's true physically, but I also think it's true mentally. Like I think it's true like in both concepts. You have to
Right.
have a certain amount of, no pun intended, willpower to like want to get and want to move forward in this. And the
True.
only possible way that that's going to happen is if you put yourself in the mindset of like I'm willing to submit in a way, and I'm willing to like lean into this process and face it head on. And so because of that,
Right.
I was not ever like in the right headspace for it. And then what it came down to after Allison died was I was actually sitting there with my father at one point and my grandfather. I believe there were separate conversations. It's been so long now that it's hard to remember,
Yeah.
but I believe there were separate conversations. But
Hmm.
especially my grandfather. My grandfather, I mean, he was born in 1936. You know, the
Right.
idea
Right.
of a guy from Southern Indiana and born in 1936 saying you need to go to therapy is wild. But it's true. He looked me
Right.
in the face and he said, "Kid, you're not supposed to know how to deal with this."
Wow.
And he's like, "I think you need to talk to someone." And he's like, I don't think you're supposed to be able to. And that like hit me like a ton of bricks because I'm like,
Mm.
wait a minute. The guy who sat around the kitchen table with me for 3 hours when I decided I was done with basketball
Uh,
is telling me that I need to go talk about my feelings to some person. Like, what? And it's true. And he
wow.
did. And so and
Wha-
that, I was like, okay, clearly, like, this is abnormal.
Yeah. Can
Let's,
we take a second there? Because man,
yeah,
that is such a cool gift.
yeah,
Like yeah, my grandpa too, I want to say he was born in the 40s, but still like he's never said anything close to that. And I've seen him go, as you've been alive, you see your dad, your role models, whatever, go through things. And um, I think my grandpa could have benefited from, like, so many people could benefit from therapy. But it's another thing to, like, to your point, there has to be a level of I'm willing to do this, right? Even I love the comparison that you brought up about even physical. It's like you still have to say I want to get into shape. Yeah, and go to the gym, or whatever, walk, run, do that. Like you have to commit to that. But like even your grandpa giving you permission to do this, to go speak to someone, man, what a gift. I think that's just so cool that he said that to you.
yeah. It's one of those things that I'll treasure forever because he's definitely his health's not in the best, right now. And
Hmm.
I mean, given his age, I mean, it would be shocking if it was. Um,
Right.
and it's
Right.
one of those things that I'm gonna hold in my heart forever because, um, yeah, I mean, I don't know that I get over the hump to go, and so it's like it's also like a bit of validation in the beginning, which I think validation is a very
Totally.
tricky word, but I think
Mm.
sometimes in the beginning of something, a change, you kind of almost need that. If it's
Right.
such a drastic change in your lifestyle, you kind of want to see, oh, is it cool? So you talked about the book. A common like misconception about my book is the title is One Step Forward, Ideally in the Right Direction. And people
Right.
assume that it means like one step at a time, like one step in front of the other. We're going to make small steps towards progress.
Right.
That's a perfectly fine way to attach it, but that's not what I had in my head. In
Okay.
my in my head, one step forward comes from this concept that I believe wholeheartedly, which is that I think people want to come forward and they want to share what's going on in their head and what's going on in their heart and what's going on in their spirit. But more often than not, they're scared as hell to like want to
Mm-hmm.
actually say that in front of a group of people.
Right.
And if you can be the person in your tribe, in your group, in your family, and your friends to step forward,
Hmm.
pun intended that time, but to take that one step forward and say, "Hey, I'm struggling. Hey, I've got this going on." Not only
Hmm.
is that relief for you, but then you subconsciously give everybody around you permission to then come forward. I can't tell you
Right.
after the book came out, like I cannot tell you how many conversations I had with friends, with family, with all these people that like come to me, still do. It's been
Yeah.
years, and they still, and or because of the content that I put out there, because I put
Right.
stuff out there. How many people just hit me up and say, "Hey, I'm going through something similar. Hey, I shared that experience." And that's just that I know about, let alone if they like took that and like went to one of their other friends or somebody else. But you give people permission to
Mm.
to own their shit. And I think that's like
Right,
been my
right.
my central mission in all of this.
I love it. And I mean, and you said that in a video recently too. You're like, I have one simple mission to make people kind of feel seen and to have a space to share some of the stuff. I gotta say, man, I love it, because it is simple to say and it is hard to do, right? It's to be able to share what's on your heart and your soul. And I think that's one thing that, thanks so much, Megan. She said she's loving the conversation. Thank you, Megan. I appreciate you being here. Um, Before my accident, I was always friendly. I was always open to all kind of walks of life. I've been, as Megan's here, I've been a closeted nerd most of my life. I didn't want people to know how big of a fan I was with Marvel stuff or Star Wars or any of those kind of things. And then I get into this accident and, I'm super in shape. I'm a commercial pilot. I'm doing jujitsu. I'm like, I think on paper, I would look like the man that every guy would kind of want to be, right? Granted, the level, there's guys who are doing it at way higher levels than I was, but
Right.
regardless, right? But I didn't say so much of what was on my heart and soul because I was nervous. I didn't want people to judge me based on, these things that I was ashamed of or I wasn't certain about. And then when I'm in the hospital and I'm not able to talk and I'm not able to do anything for myself, there was so much, it felt like I was going to explode. I was like, man, there was so much I didn't say before I almost lost everything. And now that I have this second chance, when I could start talking again and everything, I was like, man, there's just so much I want to say now. And it was a really eye-opening experience for me because yeah, I just again, like speaking about our grandfathers and dads and how we think we're supposed to be as men, it just wasn't something I was open to. It wasn't something I was brave enough to do. And after I'm like, no, this is what matters. It matters that we tell people what's on our heart if it's coming from a place of love. It matters that we are trying to be better people, even if that means acknowledging what we're not doing right. It matters that we're giving people a space to be who they are and to also share what's on their own heart and like not judging them as much as we can. We're human, we're going to judge, but as much as we can, trying not to judge people for being their honest, true, authentic selves and just allowing them to feel accepted. And I'm like, man, that message is not out there as much as I think is as it should be. And I don't know if I'm the right person to share it, but damn, do I know I'm going to have to try. And so, yeah, I just can really relate to what you're saying.
So I'm curious for you, I know where I stand on this, but how do you grapple with the concept of like, I don't know that if the message is out there enough. I know, damn it, I'm going to try, but you have no idea if it's going to land, if it's going to matter, but you do it anyway. Well, how
Yeah,
do you grapple with that?
and honestly, I want to ask you the same question because I think it's actually something, this is getting real vulnerable, but it's true. I mean, I think it's something I'm just struggling with lately because, I launched this thing last year. Thank you guys. Thanks everybody at Nerd Initiative for tuning in. Um, I had all this energy, I had all this excitement, and there was all these comments and likes and things going around, and like videos were doing crazy numbers and stuff. And this year, I really came in with a lot of doubt. And I was like, am I on the right track? I'm like, again, it was like something last year I put this out there publicly. I'm like, I only wanted to do, or the goal anyway, was to do 5 episodes. And then we just kept going. We did 10 and 20 and now we just hit 25 and I got like a couple more in the can trying to get worked on and finalized. And I was like, man, I just don't want to just keep having these conversations without some kind of goal and some kind of purpose. And it's creating a lot of doubt in my head. But there's also these moments of like, man, I don't know if anybody knows this. And one thing that I'm constantly reminded of, and I'm still, this is me moving through doubt, is I got out of the hospital right before COVID kicked off. And I saw so many people online who were scared, they were hurt, they were confused, just like how I was in the hospital. And yet, they might have every physical opportunity. They might have a job that's still supporting them. They may still have people that love and care about them. And yet they felt like the world was falling apart. And I was like, man, it doesn't matter if you've been in a plane crash. It doesn't matter if you're just trying to live through COVID. Like this feeling is universal. And I have a little bit of maybe something here that can speak to how we get through these hard times. And gosh, I almost need to remind myself of this, but it's like the power, the ability to get through hard times are in you. There's also power in vulnerability, there's power in community, and there's power in just like trying to step into the person you want to become and not just being anchored in the person who you think everybody wants to see. And I try to live that, even though I think I'm struggling with it a little bit right now.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack there. I mean, the biggest thing that stands out from what you just described, though, I mean, as I'm going through it, is the concept of like you said you wanted to do 5 episodes, and then you just decided to keep going. So in that moment, when your original goal was 5 episodes, and then you decide to keep going, why did you keep going?
It was there was just a lot of momentum, I guess, and I felt good about it. I was excited. I'm still excited to talk about this stuff. I'm still excited to talk to people like you who have this amazing insight, but we're coming to the same conclusions, but from different experiences. I find that really fascinating. I'm always interested on all of these topics around mental health and psychology and philosophy and what healing actually looks like. And then again, there was just so much also outside momentum, and maybe that's the content creator. I almost want to say fallacy, but I don't know if it's a fallacy, but
Right.
it's this false motivation, but that was helping push me forward, I guess. Yeah, what do you think it is for you that keeps you going?
So that's where I think it's interesting in my perspective by comparison. That specific piece that you're talking about, the momentum part.
Hmm.
Because all I have had is momentum in this sense. I have truly never had like a viral moment ever.
Hmm.
Like nothing that would even get remotely close. I've had
Hmm.
some good pops here and there,
Yeah,
and by that I mean a few thousand. Like that's it. Like it's when I it's but I and that's why I have a really fun time talking to people as creators about it. Is
yeah.
because I think a lot of people get that dopamine hit of that one big video that like did, I don't know, hundreds of thousands or millions or whatever. And they
Hmm.
get that crazy, like, oh my God, maybe I have something here. And then they're
Right.
chasing that high forever,
Yeah.
whatever that number is for you.
Yeah.
And I've never had it, to be honest. Like, it's never happened for me.
Yeah.
So I
It's
don't,
maybe it's a
I,
maybe that's
no,
a
no,
good thing because it's
I think,
steady.
I think it is a good thing. Like,
Yeah.
that's where I think it's, I equate it to this. There are comedians who grind it out. I mean, they truly like grind it out and they do
Hmm.
the open mics and then they do the small MC gig and then they do a feature spot and it sucks for a long time. And then
Yeah.
eventually
Yeah.
you could maybe headline at some shows at the tours. But even then, you're still working 300 plus nights a year
Right.
doing shows to make 500 to $1,000 and you'll make a
Hmm.
good living, but you're on the road the whole time.
Yep. Yeah.
And they never quite have it. And then maybe they get to that like crazy, like I could do a stadium tour deal. Maybe they get there.
Right. Or
But
maybe
then,
even they just open for somebody.
but then you have especially in the world of social media, you have these people that are like, I do a few things, and then all of a sudden they have that one clip pop off, and now
Hmm.
they get the headlining gigs.
Hmm.
And it's like you see it, you can almost see at times that feeling of I didn't earn this.
Oh, interesting. Interesting.
and
Yeah.
and it's like because you didn't put the reps in, and so that's
Mhm.
why to bring it back to what you said, I think it is a good thing. Like, of course, I'm selfish. Anybody would say like I would love to see something go crazy successful,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I keep grinding at it because it was never about. To me, it was never ever about getting big, if that makes sense. It was
Yeah.
never, if it happens, I would love for that to happen. Of course, if I could make this all like my living forever, like that would be
Right.
incredible.
Yeah.
But it didn't have to do that for it to be meaningful for me. For me, where this all started, most people, if you've been following along from the beginning, then perhaps, but Most people today like know me from like social media, like don't know this part, but this all started for me from a blog post. That's it. I
Wow.
I
So
was in a
Michael,
car- I was in a career transition, and I was in a just a weird place in life, and I just decided one day that I was going to write a blog post about the night that Allison died, and like walking through minute by minute, like what happened that night and where it all
wow.
came out for me. And I put it
Hmm.
out there, and I had no idea what was going to happen. And this was the closest thing I've gotten to like a dopamine. It was that like within the first day, it had like 500 views,
Okay.
which is not a
Wow.
lot in the grand scheme of the world. But like I had no following, I had no nothing. I just put it
Right,
out there, and
right.
I was like, oh, people want to read this. That's kind of
Yeah.
interesting.
Wait, where did you post it? Was it on like Reddit or was it on like
WordPress.
oh, WordPress?
WordPress.
Okay.
Yeah. So
Wow.
that account is still active. It's called The Battle You Know Not. The account is still active. I don't write stuff super often in there, but I do.
Okay.
I'll probably switch over to Substack at some point because it's more popular these days. But
Yeah, yeah, that
um,
seems that where everybody's going.
yeah, but I started with the WordPress account, and then I was blogging for years, and my social media was just the classic. Hey, I'm at a game with my friends, and that was it. And I just would write something, I post it, and move on. And
Yep.
then a few years later, a friend of mine challenged me to write a book, and I
Mm,
didn't think I had it in me. And he was like, "You do. You've been writing for years. You just look at it too close of a lens. You know, look more
right.
long term." And so then I wrote a book, and then I'm self-published though. So then I realized
Wow.
towards the end of the book, I was like, of writing it, I was like, oh, I'm gonna have to promote this, aren't I? So then that's where the
Yeah.
social media came from. I was like, well, and also not even just it wasn't just about promotion. It was also about like, oh, what's going to be my next creative outlet? Because I've spent the last so much time writing this book, and I've dedicated this portion of time, and now it's done. What do I do with this time now? And so then
Exactly.
I started making videos, and I would reach
Okay.
out, and I would do like a cold outreach on Instagram with no following to just
Mhm.
random podcasts to be like, hey, I'm some guy you
Yeah.
don't know. I'd love to talk about stuff, and thankfully a few people took pity on me.
No,
Um,
no, no. But it's an
it's no, it's
accomplishment.
true, it's true.
Yeah, but it's an accomplishment writing a book, you know. It takes so much time, dedication, energy, focus, and it's like and yeah, it's I don't think there's any way to not write a book and not grind a little bit, right? Like
You
you're
have to.
trying
There's
to
no way.
put you right,
If
yeah,
unless
you
you use
did that.
AI, and I'm not
Right.
judging. People do what they gotta do. Okay, maybe a little bit as a writer, I judge,
No,
but
no. Okay, well that's a little bit a
but
new thing and yeah, it does that does seem like taking the shortcut. It sounds like when you're writing this book, there wasn't that option. So
no.
you're putting time, energy,
Even
and
if there was, I don't. Again, I'm not gonna. I do not make it a point to tell people how to live their lives.
yeah, I'm gonna
I'm.
let you
I'm.
know too.
I,
Bex says it's a massive accomplishment, and I completely agree with her. It is. I totally commend you on that. I'm nervous. It's been brought up for me, and I don't know if I have that ability or time, energy, dedication. So I give you so much credit, man. I think it's incredible.
and that was the cool part, right? Was that like this is a very specific thing for me in this. It was cool during the whole process. If you decide to go down the path, what I would recommend to anybody is have a block of time that you're writing. And I don't give a shit if you actually end up keeping any of it or not, but just tell
Right.
yourself, this time I'm writing every day. I don't care.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
you could throw it all away when you're done. But you
Hmm.
say you block the time, you make it a point, and you can get there. The coolest moment though for me was there's a lot of cool moments. Like holding it in my hand was cool and stuff. But I'll never forget when I announced that I was writing the book,
Hmm.
like on Facebook and such, and or when it was coming out, I guess I should say. My sixth grade teacher commented on the post and was
Oh
like,
wow.
She said, I remember when you were in my class and you told me you were going to write a book one day.
Wow.
And she was right because I did. Like, yeah, I mean,
What
I
did it
was
feel
fun.
like? Wait, what did that feel
Oh,
like when you saw her? Because she saw you before you knew what you're going to be. You're now this person. You do this incredible. You commit yourself to something incredible. There's physical challenges where it's like, I'm going to run a marathon or I'm going to hike, Everest. And then there's mental challenges like I'm going to go get my college degree or master's, or I'm going to write a book. And now you're saying you're going to write a book. What does it feel like having this teacher come back in your life and commend you for this?
Well, to be honest, what was funny was like at the time when I was in her class, like my dream was to be in the NBA. I was five.
Okay,
I
okay,
was five. I was 5'8" when I was 11 years old.
okay.
5'8", 5'9", something like that. And I'm only 5'11" now, so I didn't go any further. But at the
Okay,
time,
yeah.
I was like, I'm a giant. I'm gonna be 6'8", and I'm gonna go to the league, and it's gonna be awesome.
Yeah,
Um, and so that was like the
I love it.
dream. But like I loved writing, and I did, and I was
Mm,
like, one day I'm gonna do this too. I'm gonna write a book,
mm,
and
mhm.
I dedicated myself to it, and so I don't think at the time I could have comprehended how I would get to writing a book. In my head back then, I probably would have assumed it would have been a fiction book and it would have been something Harry Potter esque.
Okay,
Um,
yeah.
and that's probably what I would have done. I would have never guessed it would have been a nonfiction narrative book about life and trauma and how to deal with stuff. Um,
Right.
but nonetheless, it was there and it was cool. But yeah, so it's the other thing that I remember specifically when it came out is like I FaceTimed my mom
Mhm.
and I looked her in the face and I cried a little bit and I was like, I'm about to tear up just thinking about it. Um, I remember saying I did it and no one can take it away from me
Mhm.
forever. You know,
Yeah.
so often in life things are
I
fleeting.
love that.
You can buy your first house, but then if you lose your job and all things fall apart, they can take the house away from
Right.
you. There's
A
so many
storm,
things
a fire. Yeah,
like
absolutely.
so many things can be taken away from you, but when you accomplish something like this, it's like I'm Will Craig the author, and no one's ever taken that away from me.
Yeah. That's so
And
cool.
that was that's probably the coolest part. Like, um, yeah. So that's that. Those are the things that I think about a lot. So let me ask you, why is it
Hmm.
that you believe that you are not capable of writing a book?
Ooh. It's funny because you
You
talked about
survived a
how,
plane crash.
yeah, no, but I don't know. It hasn't been my dream. And now
That's fair.
I had so I never knew. My interest had been across the board for so much of my life. I'm just a curious person. I've always been curious. When someone tells me something interesting, it doesn't matter if it's like science, mechanics, philosophy, whatever, knitting. If you tell me something interesting knitting, like I'm gonna be like, that's freaking cool. Like I want to like because I am fascinated and deeply interested in whenever somebody is deeply interested in something. And I think that to me has always been like I just love seeing people dive into so your whole story, man, was so cool. There is a part of me that
I
knows that I could write. Sorry, go for it. Yeah.
No, I was just saying, like that mindset. I want to come back to that because I relate to that so much. So go
Okay,
ahead.
all right, yeah. There is a part of me that knows that I it's going to be so hard, it's going to be grueling, and I think that I could do it with some help. But I think as you were talking about, you were dreaming of being a writer. I just, I think my dream now is to have conversations with people, again, like just what I said, with people who are interested in things that that are just fascinated by it. And like I love that. Like one of my heroes, it's sad. It's weird that I realized this recently. Like a lot of my heroes, quote unquote, are people that have passed away. And some of them have passed away by their own hand, which I think is very dark. But it's like Robin Williams, Anthony Bourdain are like some of the people I like look up the most in this world. And it's like, it's sad how they went out. I don't want to copy that, but the way they looked at life and the way that they were
Yeah.
able to engage with so many people from all different kinds of walks of life and different professions and be curious about it, be interested in them. That for me is like what I want to do. I want to have conversations with people like you, just for all different kind of walks of life, what they're interested in, why they do it, why it lights them up, and how if we could find. I'm reading this book right now. Sorry, I'm going all over the place. But I'm reading this
Very
book.
good.
It's called Prisoner of Our Thoughts. And it's based off this PhD, this psychologist who was deeply interested in Viktor Frankl, who wrote Man's Search for Meaning. I've read it numerous times, and it was one of the books I credit for helping me get out of my depression and hard times when I was healing, and my body was healing, but my soul just felt like it wanted to give up, like I lost everything. And he has the whole idea of this book is like, funny enough, talking to Will, it's your will to meaning. What, why do you do the things you do? Why do you keep going? And what is it about you that's in you that makes you want to keep living and do something for this world, or just keep going? And I think truly that you can't keep going, at least I can't, unless everything that I experienced gives back to gives back to people in some way. And the way that I hope I'm able to do that is by sharing other people's stories and having conversations like this. And I guess it could be in a book, but I love the conversational aspect of this.
Yeah. And look, I mean, at the end of the day, like, if it's not your passion, like, then don't do it. It's grueling and fucking atrocious. Like, it's not fun. It
I
is
gotcha.
fun if you love it,
Right.
but like it's funny. I'm not even trying to like plug it. Like I said, my book came out years ago at this point, and I'm already working on the other one. So like, but like, there is a chapter in the first book that I love, which is process over outcomes, and
Mm,
it's this mindset that I've kind of taken on over time, which is to say that like we are an outcomes driven society. Everything is about outcomes.
totally.
It's what did you get? What in return? What is the ROI? You know, and I get it because the outcome is ultimately the end result, right? Like we can all score points, but it's who has the most points at the end of the game that wins the game, and wins the trophy, and wins the stuff. But
Right.
I would argue that so much of life there is no direct ending, and therefore there is no reward for anything. And if you can
Right.
find joy in the process of doing it over and over and over again,
Hmm.
like then that's the win. If you get to enjoy it, then that's all that fucking matters.
Yeah, I love it. I appreciate you saying that because I think what rings true for me is like the healing aspect, right? Like I was
Sure.
almost 70% burned, and yeah, I mean, I've seen every part of me like open and bloody, and everybody was like, "Well, we just got to heal you and get back to normal, right?" And
And you're like, I'm
the
never
end
gonna be
goal was
normal.
right, right. But also like healing was the goal, so to speak, right? And then you get to the end of healing and you're like, I guess this is as good as I'm gonna be. You know, I'm never gonna be back to where I was. And then it's a hollow goal. Like the goal, you know, and then you're like, okay, well, I'm normal or I'm back to as close to normal as I can be. Eh, is that it? You know, and then you don't feel satisfied, you don't feel happy. And then for me, it was like, even though my body was healed, my heart, my soul, I felt like I still lost my purpose. I still felt like I lost my identity and who I was. And then it was like, well, now what?
Mm-hmm.
And I love that yeah, you're touching on that same thing because you're right. It's something that Simon Sinek talks a lot about too, which is like the infinite game. We
Mm-hmm.
are, the finite game is, okay, we want to do 10% over sales of what we did last year. Or I want to get this promotion because I'll be making 120,000 instead of like 90,000, whatever, right? And it's like those goals, even when you hit them, they give you momentary happiness, but it's fleeting. It never feels
Yeah,
fulfilling. It
because
never
it's on to
feels
the
like
next.
exactly. Yeah, yeah. So I appreciate it. It's a good reminder even for me. Like, yes, find joy in the process.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, and you're not 100% sure you're going to get that promotion. You're going to
Right.
get that salary. Like, and
Yeah.
so what are you going to do if you don't get it? Like you're talking about it as if you get it, and that's true. Like even then, you're like, is this really as satisfying as you thought it was going to be? Probably not.
Right.
But there's
Hmm.
also the ramification of what if you don't get it? What if they picked Mike instead of you, and now you're left not only feeling like, damn, that sucks, I didn't get the thing, but also it's like you're comparing, you're wondering if all this effort was worthless and all this
Right.
stuff.
Am I not enough now?
Right. And so there's that
Yeah.
aspect of it. And so like I bringing it back to we were talking about social media and doing all this stuff. Again, that's why I like my world of, yeah, I can truly say I've never had like a viral moment.
Mhm.
I love the process of creating this stuff. It has evolved and changed over time. And then it's come almost back around. If you compare what I'm doing right now in social media
Mhm.
to when I first started, it's similar, except I was very specific on calling it mental health tip of the day. But I sat in this room directly facing my camera and,
Yeah.
and started doing it. And it's like, holy crap, this is basically the same thing that I started with, but like I've evolved and I've become better at it. And
Mm.
the views have gone continually up, but they're not, again, I don't have any big spikes. Um,
Yeah. But
but I love the process of trying it. I don't care.
yeah. But I do feel that from you. Like, I live in a world definitely where I'm not only thinking about what messages I want to put out there and stuff, but I see all these amazing creators that I've gotten to be friends with, and I see the content they put out, and I'm very much into that. I love kind of analyzing it and seeing what works, what doesn't, or this is like doing really well right now. This is a trend. Um, but sometimes I get lost in that, the way of creating it and rather the point of why you create it. And I think it's sorry. I guess what I wanted to say for you though is like I feel like you are a person who knows what they want to say. And it feels so strong in your messaging. And I think that's why, like, in terms of like whether you're getting massive numbers or not, like I really appreciate your stuff because you come in with an idea and then you deliver that idea really, really well. So yeah, I don't know. Just trying to give you your flowers, I guess, on that.
No, I appreciate it. I mean, that's the thing that like hit me about probably about a year ago. Was I used to put like so much like thought into every single word and like
Mm,
really calculate it and really like try to like figure out the path.
yeah.
And where I found recently, if there's any version of success for me, it's not like I'm probably doing more successful now than I've done ever, but that's because it's compounding.
Hmm.
But where I think things are landing more now than ever is I've stopped putting so much damn thought into it and just say what's
Okay.
truly
Okay.
in my like. And it sounds counterintuitive, but for me, it's like what has always worked for me in my life, in even in small doses, but what has always worked is when I'm truly authentic to myself, and it's clear that like this is coming from a place of I feel passionately about it. You may not always agree with it,
Mm.
you may not always like it, but no one can deny that I feel passionately about what I'm saying. And as
Yeah.
long as I'm
Yeah.
doing that, it tends to work. Everything
Yeah.
else I can figure out. Now, do I maybe try like sliding in to like get the catch? Maybe, or I try to.
Mm.
But one thing that I'm going to make sure that I stick to from here on out, no matter what, is I believe what I'm saying is coming from a place of honesty and authenticity, and that I hope will break through. Because I think, especially today, with the world of
Yeah.
AI,
Sorry, could you?
okay,
Yeah. Sorry, you cut out really quick. I want you to just repeat that because I feel like you were saying something so poignant.
oh, sorry. I mean, for me, I guess what I was saying was that like it's I will always make it a point to be as authentic as I possibly can
Hmm.
over anything else. And I might try to do something tricky. I might try to, mix it up a little bit and like try to play it. But the thing that will always have to be true is that it's truly coming from the heart. It's not over polished. It's not over anything. I mean, if you read
Hmm.
my book, I swear a lot in it. It talks like a person, and that's how I
Yeah.
want
Yeah.
it to
That's
be.
awesome.
You know,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
so that's what I want to be in my content from here on out. Is stop thinking so much. Just put it out there. Just believe what you're saying and put it through the ringer and see what happens. And um,
Yeah.
so far so
It,
good. But and I get to
yeah.
live with it. I think that's probably the part that like makes me sleep best at night is like I can live with everything I've said.
Right. Yeah. I love that. But also, I mean, I think it helps that you're, well spoken and a smart individual. I don't know if that works for everybody,
I mean,
but no,
fair.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, all jokes aside,
I'm a nerd.
yeah, I hear what you're
I
saying.
competed in public speaking competitions in high school. Like I'm
Nice.
a nerd about this stuff. So yes, now is there a Malcolm Gladwell 10,000 hours for this? Probably. Like
Well,
I've
yeah.
been, yeah. I used to. This is a fun little fact about me. I used to compete in public speaking, like I said, and my best category was what they call extemporaneous speech. And so
Okay.
the way extemporaneous works for those who are listening and don't know what that means, um, when you think about a speech, a lot of people think about it written as word for word. Like I am reading it off a teleprompter word by word to go, like the Ron Burgundy thing. He's going to
Yeah,
read it
yeah.
exactly as it says. The way
Right.
extemporaneous speaking works is it's less about word for word. It is actually like a series of bullet points, and then
Hmm.
you are speaking around it to keep the flow.
Right, right. And you're
And
kind
so
of filling in the
how
gaps.
exactly? And so
Mm.
the way they would do the competitions was they would basically structure like an impromptu speech. What they would do is they would give you five topics. You wouldn't know them ahead of time. You couldn't know them ahead of
Mm.
time. Like that's the whole point. So it could be everything
Right.
from how does branding affect the global marketplace to should we or should we not have the death penalty? And those were two I remember from growing up.
Hmm.
It would be five, so they'd be
Nice.
wider range.
Hmm.
There'd be five topics. You wouldn't know them ahead of time. You draw two out. As you read them and you're like, okay, I like this one better. You know,
Yeah.
they take you away. We were just coming when I was in high school. We were just coming into the people having cell phones thing. But like, they took your
Mm.
phone if you had it. They took they gave you a piece of paper. They gave you a pen. You're going to
Yeah.
go in this room. This person is going to watch you. You have 10
Hmm.
minutes to write a 3 to
Hmm.
5 minute speech. As soon
Wow.
as the 10 minutes is done, you have to go give the speech in front of a panel.
That's pressure. Yeah.
So that's how they did it. And so the way they would structure it that way, I mean, you had to think quickly, you had to be on the fly, and it was a lot of fun. And so yeah, so I won my district, I won my state, and then I went to nationals,
Wow.
and I think I got like 12th. Um,
Wow, that's incredible, man. Yeah, it makes sense why you're such a good speaker, why you understand the points you're trying to make, how you're trying to drive it home. Really, I had to do something like that in college, and I give you a lot of credit because it's not easy. But I want to, before we're crazy enough, we're almost coming up on an hour, and there's one
yeah, I
thing.
know.
Yeah, I'm trying to work on a series right now about acceptance, which is leading into next month, and then the next month I want to talk about values, but I want to talk, I guess, hear your thoughts about like acceptance,
Hmm.
because I think again, if we take it full circle back to how we started this talking about being a man, it's like it's hard to accept things as they are sometimes. It was very hard for me to accept the fact that I lost my job, I lost limbs, I lost what I thought was my purpose, and just even accepting that this accident really happened just was so hard for me. So I want to hear, yeah, if you have some thoughts on just like acceptance in your own journey and yeah, how you think that's important in mental health.
I would say the biggest thing, it's kind of becoming a big part of my life recently that I've really tried to adopt from an acceptance standpoint is that like there are so many things out of your control in life. Most of what
Hmm.
happens in life is out. When you really think about it, you have no
Yeah,
say in the matter,
totally.
and that's terrifying when you just say it like that. But I think it would be in everyone's best interest to pause for a moment and realize that, like, in a way, that's empowering, because then all you can focus on is you. All you can focus on. I made a video recently where I talked about if you don't date your significant other, somebody else will, right?
Yeah, yeah, that
And
was a great
some
video.
some some people in the comments and even like some messages I got from people were something to the effect of like, "Wow, like it's all about you. It's not anything about what she did." I didn't say. I said in the video, I will not
Right.
condone cheating. I'm not going to ever condone cheating. I'm
Yeah,
not saying
yeah,
that.
exactly.
But you
Totally.
can
You
never
clarified it.
control what somebody else can do. You can only
Hmm.
control your part of it. You not giving your significant other, the best treatment is not grounds for them to go cheat on you. I didn't say that. But you
Right.
still are, you can't control their actions. as much as we like to do, as much as we think, oh, if I don't let them go to that party or I don't, do this,
Right.
maybe they won't.
Yeah, for some guys, it's like, I hope I'm not gonna let her wear that. It's like, what? Why do you get to decide what she wears?
She's going to do it.
Yeah,
And same for him. If he,
yeah, yeah. Oh shoot, sorry, but yeah, looks like audio's cutting out for a second, but I'm not sure.
oh, are you back?
Yeah, yeah, you're back. You're back. Sorry.
Cool.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. I have do not disturb on, and yet somehow a call broke through. It was super weird.
Oh man, it was trying to disturb.
It was trying to disturb it. It's a spam number. Anyway, sorry. Point I'm trying to make.
Okay, okay.
I don't care. I don't care if it's the guy or the girl. Doesn't matter. If they're hell bent on cheating on you, they're going to do that. That's not for you to decide. What you can
Right.
control is your effort, your attitude, the way you come in correct in your relationship. And guess what?
100%.
One of two things is going to happen. Either you are an amazing partner,
Mhm.
and they feel that, and then they are also an amazing partner back to you,
Mhm.
or you're an amazing partner and they're not, and then you go, okay, and maybe it's time to walk away, but then you'll at least be able to walk away knowing I gave it everything I had.
Right. Yeah, I love it. I mean, for me, this is very like stoicism, where it's like, yeah, you can't control what happens in the outside world. Uh, you know, it's an easy way for me in a sense. It's not a fun way, but it's like everything in terms of like how my emotional and mental health journey started kind of spanned out of this accident, right? And I tried everything I could to make things safe and to do things as good as I could do it, but the accident still happened, right?
Right.
And you so much in today, much like how we focus on on the result and on the process, we think we can control how things end up. But it's not. All you control is how much time, energy, effort,
Exactly.
structure you put in. Yeah, and then the results are the results. It's like sometimes it works really well and sometimes it doesn't. And if this isn't understood by a lot of people, it's like billionaires will say the same thing. It's like, hey, we put in the time, energy, and maybe they're working harder and longer and whatever than more than regular people. But a lot of them say, well, it's kind of luck. Like luck
Yeah.
has to be an element. And if you can't tell me that luck is not it's not in your control. Like it just isn't. So I love that you bring that up.
I fucking hate the fucking alpha bros out there who are like, I make my own luck. Shut the fuck up. Luck,
Right,
you
right.
have no control in luck whatsoever. But you can
Yeah,
control your effort, your attitude, and those things. And then, yes, while
totally.
doing those things, the stars align.
Yes.
But there are
Yeah,
plenty of hardworking people out there who never catch a break, and you can't dismiss that and invalidate them just because you did. It's okay.
right.
I'm not taking. No one's taking anything away from how awesome you are and how hard you worked and all the things you did. But if you
Totally.
sit there on $1 billion and pretend for a second that something didn't have to, Mark Cuban is the best example. He'll tell you that till he's blue in the face. It's like, look, he said, if I can start from zero, I think I could become a millionaire again. But to be
Yeah.
a billionaire, you have to get lucky. That's the only way around.
Right. So true. So true. Yeah. So yeah, I agree with you, man. I think understanding you're right. I think it's scary for people to think about the non-control and how that means danger, that means unsafety, that means, and for sure it could, but also you could
Sure.
do everything right and something bad could still happen.
Exactly.
So I think that's a harder thing to grip with, and so I think it does give me a lot more peace now knowing that things aren't in my control and knowing that if I show up and do the best I can and it doesn't go my way, oh well. And I think it's a hard thing even for my wife to grip with me, but I see it I see it in a lot of other people too in their own lives. And I'm like, man, you're
Yeah.
trying to squeeze so tight onto something that could slip through your fingers, not even because of your own strength, just because that's how it's gonna go. And yeah, I don't know. So I'm just thinking more through acceptance and how it's a hard thing for us to wrap our head around. How do you think that works in terms of like your own healing journey with what you went through?
No one's ever asked me that question before.
All right.
um,
I
I
like
would
it.
say, I would say it actually couples well. Coping with a traumatic loss of someone I cared deeply about and my medical condition, and I just listen, accepting that like there's an element of this that I can't control.
Hmm.
They for me they mirror a very similar feeling, which is that like so much of what I was anxious about and fearful of and all these things, all I can do is do the best that I can and
Hmm.
play. I have a tattoo right here for an ace of spades, and
Oh,
the reason I have it partially is for the movie Rounders. For those who have ever seen it, Rounders is awesome. You should watch it. Early Matt Damon and Edward Norton movie. But
okay, okay.
also, it's a reminder that like I can only do. I have a running joke. My old roommate says it will be put on my gravestone one day. Um, my quote will be, "Play the hand you're dealt."
Okay. Yeah.
All of us are dealt a series of hands. We don't get to say it, but we have to play it. Nonetheless, you have to play it either way. So
Yeah.
people lose
True.
poker hands with two aces. People win with 7-2 offsuit, which is the statistically worst hand in poker,
Right.
and they find a way to win. And you have to learn to play the hand you're dealt, and you don't get to control that hand, but you do get to control what you do with it after the fact. And so I
Totally.
say all this to say, whether it's dealing with trauma or it's dealing with a serious medical condition you will have for your entire life,
Hmm.
focus on the things that you have control over, that you actually have control over, not the parts that you want to have control over. That'll
Right.
drive you crazy. Focus on
Yeah.
what you actually can. Did I do everything within my power? If I didn't, I have to live with that, but then we have to learn from it and move forward.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, man. That's great. That really hit me. I mean, you touched on a lot there, whether it's like my medical condition or, yeah, getting these cards I didn't really want. And yeah, trying to move forward and figure out how best I can play them. And yeah, I love it. I really appreciate that. I think this is super helpful for me as I try to grip with what does acceptance mean to me? You know, there's a lot of research out there, and I'm pulling from all different kind of books to try to figure out like how I can use this to help other people. But I think you just put it so succinct and so spot on. So yeah, man, I appreciate it. I think that was awesome.
I don't know that it was the most succinct I've ever done. Like I said, no one's ever asked me that question before, but it's a really good question and a really good point to have. And by the way, all of this to be said, I want to be abundantly clear.
Hmm.
I do not have it all figured out. I am still a mess.
Hmm.
I, but I try to give myself more grace now that I've learned a bit more and understand that mistakes are going to happen. But it's what do we do after them? That's
Yeah.
it.
I love it, man. Yeah. Well, yeah, I don't even, I feel like right there's like a mic drop moment. I don't want to end the conversation because it's like, man, it's been so awesome talking to you. You're a wealth of knowledge. I love how you've turned your own dark, hardest moment into something I think not only seems like it's cathartic for you, but I mean, it's obviously touching people. It's obviously giving them an outlet. It's also allowing them to feel understood and feel okay in their own mess. You're so right. There's no part of me that feels I'm perfect or I'm close to even where I was before. In some ways, I feel like I'm a better person, but yeah, I know there's still so much I got to figure out, and so I just appreciate you being out here, just doing what you're doing, and just being another fellow brother. Also, Craig, I don't think we even said.
We
By
didn't.
the
We didn't.
way,
Yeah,
we're
we
not.
didn't. Yeah, we're not related. We said we were going to address the elephant in the room. This
I
we are not related,
know,
contrary to
I
popular
know.
belief.
Not
Every
that
person I
we.
sent this note.
Yeah.
I guess we could be like maybe somewhere in the past.
Yeah, man. Who
Um,
knows? Like 100 years ago or something, we might be. It might have branched out somewhere. But yeah, we didn't even address that. I think it's hilarious. But yeah, man. We're cut from the same cloth, whether actually biologically or I just think on our mental, emotional journeys. There's a lot I can relate to on what you said today.
well, same for you, man. Like your journey, and now that we've done this, that just means you have to come on my show to share your voice. Because I feel like I did more of the talking here. So You got to come on my show. We got to talk a little bit more about it. So stay tuned, everybody.
Yeah, let's do it. Let's definitely do it. All right, I'm going to sign off with this. James, I want to read this comment though really quickly. Teaching and education knocks down myths and stereotypes of certain life experiences we teach through experiences. Okay, I like that. I dig it. So with that being said, I just appreciate everybody for joining. I'm gonna try to figure out a way that we can also share this out on YouTube and across other platforms. Again, Will Craig, you've been amazing, dude. Mental Health with Will. Yeah, guys, we're gonna follow this up. There's be a little bit of, editing, cleaning up here, but man, thank you so much. And yeah, let's do this again very soon. I want to be on your show 100%.
Sounds great. See y'all later.
All right, well, everybody.